let's go through. Let's start off. So we are, today we're going to be talking about the conversion of business. So the last few days we've been thinking about what we can potentially do. What our goals could be. Is our mindset in the right place to actually reach the goals in the where we want to go? We spoke about branding, we spoke about messaging, talking to the audience that we work with in a way that will inspire them to work with us. And yesterday we had Russell walk through what's required to actually get the message to exactly the right audience that is most likely wanting to purchase from us, right? So we want to laser target exactly the people that we want, because we don't have massive budgets. We will never have massive budgets. We're in an industry where we're not going to be spending millions of dollars a year. I mean, even collectively, I don't think we would be spending millions of dollars a year on advertising. So every penny that gets spent needs to be in front of the right person. I think Russell really did make a good point when it was with Facebook ads and with even Google ads. It gives us the ability to do the flyers on the front of the windshields, but making sure that the only people that get the flyers are mums and dads that have kids that are likely to do business with you. So that's what we've been doing. And now today we're going to talk about, okay, when we've now got those systems up, we've got those things running, we're now getting inquiries, people are coming and contacting us, people are sending leads into us, people are sending emails in, and we're collecting those inquiries either through Messenger. They might be texting us, they might be calling us, they might be leaving a lead, which is what a lot do. I'm going to go through a process with which people successfully convert that interest into business, into gymnasts. And just jumping back to what I was about to talk to Brandon about before we started recording, is all successful business is made up of two things, right? Product and service, which is gymnastics or swimming or dance, whatever you're doing. That's a service, so that's your product. You might be selling Leos, you might be selling other stuff. That's product, right? So product and service is one part of the business. The other part of the business that every single successful business has is sales and marketing. You cannot have a successful business without both, right? Now, some might argue that you could actually have a successful business without a product and service and just great sales and marketing, but that would be like a Ponzi scheme or something. You could argue that McDonald's has a crappy product with great marketing and sales, and that's made them very, very, very successful, right? But I don't know of any product that's amazing or service that's amazing, like the best service, the best product that has no marketing and sales that goes with it, that's successful. Because basically, it doesn't matter how great my widget is, if no one knows that it exists, no one's going to buy it. So we need to, and let's say we just say, well, I'm going to share it with my friends, and my friends will tell their friends, and blah blah blah. You might have an average result from it because you're never going to reach the numbers that you want to scale, which would allow you as a business to actually be the type of business that people can have a career with, that you can have a career with, that you could actually retire with some money in the bank, right? Unfortunately, one of the biggest problems that I see, and I've spoken to many gymnastics professionals over the years, is the sport of gymnastics is run by coaches who love the sport and have passion for the kids. And many gym owners get into it because of that, right? And they don't end up running a business, and they run that business, they run the gym with that passion, with that feeling for 40 years, and they get into their 60s, and it's still kind of just a little business that's fun and making a bit of money, maybe making a decent amount of money, but not enough for them to build some kind of retirement, right? And definitely all of the staff that they might have had over the years have either been part-timers or, not super committed from a, financial standpoint. They're kind of doing it because it's fun or enjoyable. And no one's actually like career gymnastics professionals. And I think if we run our businesses like most other businesses that are successful, we can actually have careers, and we can actually help our staff have careers and actually make gymnastics something special. And I think, the difficulties that USA Gymnastics has been fielding the last few years gives us all an opportunity to relook at the sport and go, you know what, let's actually treat this like a business. Let's do this well, so my head coaches and my class coaches can actually have a career where they can actually have health insurance. They might have a 401, be able to have a 401k, that they can actually save for retirement, and they can actually really put things, really make a difference in kids' lives. I know most all gyms complain that they can't keep staff, that they can't find staff. Well, it's because it's a fun thing for people to do. It's not a career. Those that come in because they want to earn some extra money doing something that's fun, they'll leave as soon as there's something better, that's going to pay them more. And you won't, and then and then the really top notch people will ultimately go and work for somebody else, or work in another industry. And I think if we want to attract really high quality people that want to do really good things, we need to start operating like a business that can sustain having great people and looking after them, and especially yourselves, right? When you retire, if, as a gym owner or a dance school owner or a swim school owner, what are you going to retire to? Will you have money? Will you have assets? Will you be able to retire well? And you can, but we need to have the product and service and the marketing and sales. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about sales, but I would rather talk about it as helping rather than sales, because when you've built this process correctly, the sales part of it, the prospecting part of it, which is the hardest part of sales, the part that people usually don't like, the part that makes them feel icky, is the prospecting, right? So that's that people come in and how do I get someone to talk to me? That's the tough thing. What do I do? Just get in front of people and I don't want to do that. I just want to help people. Well, the automated part that we've just spoken about building for you will generate people that are now reaching out to you to say, hey, Brandon, I want to do business with you. How do I do that? And then all you need to do is help them do business with you, right? You're not going to be reaching out to people that have never heard of you. You're not going to do cold calling on the phone. You're not going to be, bothering people in the parking lot with flyers. You're going to be only dealing with those that are reaching out to you who've probably done a little bit of due diligence, knowing most mums will do due diligence. And they'll be reaching out to you and saying, hey, I'm interested in doing business with you. What do we need to do, right? So let's talk about that. And most of the gyms that we end up working with, if I'm honest with you, most of the gyms that we end up working with end up getting to a point where they start raising their prices, right? Okay. Because most of them will get to a point where they are full. And it's like, okay, well, what's next? Well, what's next is you don't just stop. You start growing. You start growing the amount that you're charging. I think I might have mentioned that we had a client that worked with us. It was actually the very first client that we ever had, and they're still working with us. They started with about 450 kids. They had an average charge per month of about $70. Within the first year, they got to about 700 kids. They stayed at $70. By halfway through, the following year, they actually maxed out. They couldn't add any more kids. They got to 1,000 kids. They couldn't actually put more kids in. It was actually starting to be a little bit stressful. They were like, oh, maybe we should be at 900. So they kept trying to drop their numbers down to 900. And the way they did that, instead of just kicking kids out, is they kept raising the prices. Fast forward to today, they still are at that large number. right? Now they're actually recovering from COVID. So they're actually, I think they're down to like 600, but that's mainly because they can't actually put more in because they've got COVID restrictions. They can't put more people in the gym, but they're charging $160 a month.
Yeah.
They're charging $160 a month. They're making more now, right? They're making twice as much now with this, basically the same amount of kids as when we first met them, with the same work, right? But what's going to happen is when the COVID restrictions are totally released, they're in Illinois, they'll be able to get back up to that 900, and they'll probably be pushing 1,000, but they'll be at $160. They've got waiting lists of people waiting to come in, right? And the game changer for them is that constant influx of demand. And that's the thing. All of you guys have heard of demand, right? Supply and demand. Prices go up when there's a lot of people demanding it. So to get that demand up, they've been doing marketing with us, and it's just this process that we've been showing you. So it's nothing like any special than what we've shown you guys, but they've been able to consistently have that demand. They've consistently got in front of their local audience. Their local audience, which is their local neighborhood, now sees them as the only gym that's available. Remember, the only one, the only thought in their head. And they've got these constant inquiries, which means that they can keep raising the price because there's constantly demand. They're not worried about losing someone because there's 3 people are going to replace them. And that's where we all need to get with you. Now, I'm not saying that every gym needs to get to 160, but if you're at $60 a month, $70 a month, you probably could easily get to 100, right? With a constant flow of demand. And that's what we're talking about. So we're talking about that marketing side to drive. We've been just talking about that the last 3 days. Today, we're going to talk about the sales side. And I'm just trying to open up. So where is it here, Ella? I had it. Oh, there it is. What am I doing? Okay.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it. It was on, it opens up on my Internet Explorer, not on my Google. So I get a little bit lost with that. So here we go. So I am going to share my screen so we can see this. Share the screen. Bear with me. This is my first time presenting in this new format. I'm used to presenting in a slightly different format, but Ella has very kindly spruced this up and made it a lot nicer. But if I struggle a little bit, it's just because I'm not used to the new format. So let me show you. So you can see this. So we're going to supercharge your marketing strategy. This is the final day. This is a pretty quick training. It's not going to probably go as long as the other ones, but we'll go through it, and hopefully you guys might have some some questions at the end. If you have any questions, please ask Ella or send them to Ella. We've got Jessica Alexander who's going to be jumping in with us as well. So let's go into here. So this is me. Andy, see, it's a terrible photo of me. I don't know what I was doing.
Terrible photo of me too. Thanks, Ella.
I don't know if I was smoking something or drunk or something. Something happened that day where I wasn't looking the best. But that's me, and that is Jessica. You look great, Jessica.
Oh, thanks.
And then there's Ella, always looking great, and Russ looking great, and Jamie looking great. So Ella is our PR and community manager. Always reach out to her. She's usually the one who's going to be communicating with you. Russ, many of you met yesterday. He is a bit of the mastermind of how this all works. And Jamie is our business development manager. And if you need any help with working with us, she'll be your go-to girl to help you do that. Please watch to the end. Obviously, we've been talking about the exclusive bonuses. Please watch to the end to go through that, and we'll have a few extra things that we're going to chat with you too at the end as well. So please wait till the end. So the focus point today is we're going to talk about the persona of who you are contacting. So who is it that we're talking to, right? The person that we're talking to, it's a really important thing to be thinking about who that is, and we need to be talking to them in the way that is understanding of their life and understanding of what they're dealing with. Very similar to when we're marketing to them, but even when selling, it's even more important to understand who it is and what they're dealing with as a life, from a life standpoint. We're going to talk about the 5-day follow-up process and what that is and why it works. And we're going to be talking about why text, phone, and email needs to be part of what you do, right? You need to be texting, phone calls, and emails. and why you lose when you try to sell over text, email, and phone. So we're not going to be selling. This is about helping. I don't want you thinking this is a sales thing. This is a helping thing, right? We're just helping people. All of this, by the way, has been put together with data that we've seen from best practices used by the gyms that we've been working with over the years, and best practices that we've seen to actually help, push those best practices forward. So these are real world things that are working and have made, massive differences percentage wise in close rates and growth rates. If you don't do this, typically what's going to happen is you just got to wait for people to come in, and you might have 5 to 10% of the results that you would have had otherwise. Seriously, it makes that much difference. How you communicate with your inquiries is important.
If I could just say something, Andy, just
Yep.
as we move into this, working with a lot of different gyms from all over the country, all of different, from a business perspective, some are more business savvy, some are not as business savvy. All of those gyms that really follow this process closely are the top performers and always getting the best results in terms of new students in follow-up. I see it time and time again. So I think just listen to it and try to figure out how you can make it your own. But it really does work well. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Jess.
You're welcome.
So who is the number one person that you're likely to engage with, right? It's mums. Obviously everything comes up, so I can't play around with that, but basically who is the number one person that you're likely to engage with? It's mums. The majority are going to be mums. Probably 90% are going to be mums. You might get the grandmas, you might get the grandfathers, you might get the dads, but the majority are going to be mums. And even if dad comes in, he's probably going to go and ask mum if it's okay. Right? So there's going to have to be a sign off at some point from a mum standpoint. And again, normally, what are some things that we know about mums, right? Number one, they're super busy. They're running around, but they might be doing, dental appointments. There might be school drop-offs. There might be school pickups. There might be, other sports. If there's multiple children, there could be multiple different things. There might be multiple different sports that trying to juggle. They might be doing grocery shopping. There's all sorts of things. And those are the mums that don't have unemployed, right? I mean, they all have a job. Being a mum is a massive job, but maybe that they have a employed type job where they're getting paid to do it. On top of that, right? I mean, mums that are stay-at-home mums, they're crazy busy. I mean, my wife is a good example. She is busy from the moment our son wakes up to the moment he goes to bed. She's running around doing all sorts of stuff. She has a job on top of that. There's another level of busyness, which means that they're juggling things. That means that if you're contacting them, there's actually a major chance that they won't answer because they're busy. They're going to be doing something. They're changing a diaper. They're rescuing the cat from the 3-year-old. They're checking out at Costco. They are holding the hand of their 10-year-old who's got tears in their eyes at the dentist. Whatever it is, they're doing something. And just because they don't answer doesn't mean they're not, or they don't respond to you, doesn't mean they're not interested. It means they're busy. And the majority of the time they're going to be busy, right? So don't, they also don't give out their cell phone number for fun, right? Most mums, most people, doesn't need to just be mums, but definitely most mums, what we've seen through the data that we're collecting is that they don't give out their cell phone number to anybody other than those they want to contact them, right? That number being given out, there's only another number. There's one number that would be more of a commitment, and that would be their credit card number, right? If they give you their cell phone number, they're saying to you, I am very interested in you contacting me so I can talk to you about having my child join your organization. They don't do it if they're not really that interested, right? They might send an email or send a message in, but they probably won't give their cell phone number until they've decided, I'm ready to roll, help me roll, right? They want you to follow up with them. In fact, most mums, or most gyms that we work with have reported that, that mums actually thank them for following up, thank them for, sticking with it, that they were just really, really busy. Hey, I was really, really busy, and thank you for following up, because I really wanted to get little Jessie into this, and it's been a terrible week. I really appreciate it, right? They want you to follow up because they're busy, right? You're working with them and helping them by following up. You're not bothering them. Each time you call and they don't answer is not them. Don't be thinking, oh, they're not interested, that's why that they're trying to avoid me. Sure, is there a chance that the odd mum might do that? Sure, but the majority really aren't. They're probably busy, right? So make sure that we're following up. It's huge, because mums are busy, right? And if you try to behave like they're not, and they're just sitting waiting for you to contact them to sign their child up, you've got it wrong, and it's gonna cost you money. It's gonna cost you gymnasts.
I think it makes it really helpful as well, like you said, is to think of it as helping them, kind of take that sales component out of it.
Yep.
And think of it, you're just helping them. And that helps take some of that pressure off your front desk staff who might be doing the follow-up, is using that type of terminology, because that's truly what you are doing. My kids are a little older, but they were young ones, and I know what that was like. And, any type of help is great help. So think of it that way for sure.
There's no part of this process where anybody should be trying to convince anybody of anything. This is helping them get into the gym. That's simply it. If they don't want to do it, they don't need to do it. And we actually tell them, if you're not interested, tell us, right? That's part of the process. So there is no sales here. This is helping. So the five-day follow-up process works similar to this, right? So on the first day, you're gonna call them, you're going to text them, and you're going to email them, right? And on that first day, you really need to expect no response, right? Most are not going to respond to you, even with the text and even with the email. Email's so easy to ignore, and text might catch them in the wrong place, and most people are screening calls. So just expect no response, but just start the process, right? On the second day, we want you to call, email, and text them again, right? People don't typically answer numbers that they don't know, right? How many of you would answer if I called you and you got a 219 area code, right? Would you go, oh yeah, this is great, 219 area code, I have no idea where that is, but I'm going to answer it to see who it is? Probably not. You're probably going to just let it go to voicemail, and if I leave a voicemail message, you'll listen to it. If you're anything like me, you might listen to the voicemail message. You may never listen to the voicemail message. If you call me 5 times and leave 5 voicemails, I'll probably listen to one of those messages, because I'll be like, wow, Brandon's really trying to call me. Well, I won't be saying that because I won't know who Brandon is, but I'll be like, that guy is, whoever that is trying to call me, and then I'll listen to it and go, oh, that's Brandon, right? If you leave one voicemail message, I may not even listen to it, because I'm like, okay, there's probably somebody trying to sell me something. If they really want, if it's important, they'll leave 2 messages, is oftentimes my mentality, right? And most people behave that way. Most people probably behave better with voicemail, but most people won't answer numbers they don't know. And the process of day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5 is helping them understand that that's a known number. That's an important number. That's a number that you should call. This number is really trying to reach out to you. So maybe you should answer. Right? Maybe you should respond. And that's why we go through this process. So on day 3, we call and we text and email. On day 4, most will have engaged by day 4, right? So the majority of them will probably have engaged. You'll get a couple that will engage, not many on day 1. You'll get more that will engage on day 2. You'll get more that will engage on day 3, and you'll get most of them will engage by day 4. And on day 5, you'll get a few more that will engage. Always a couple won't engage and they'll drop off. And what we recommend that you do is take that group and put them into an email marketing process, right? So you can email market them. Remember to add at the end of it, if you are no longer interested, please let us know and we'll take you off our list. Or hey, if you're no longer interested, please let us know and we'll stop calling you, right? Add that onto each call from day 2, 3, 4, 5, like and that would be your call and text and email. Hey, if you're no longer interested, please let us know so we can stop bothering you. We only want to help, right? That takes the heat out of it, right? It also puts them on notice that, hey, you've reached out to us, we're just trying to help you. And a lot of times what happens in the sales world, you call that a takeaway. And what happens there from a humanity standpoint, if I'm really still interested, I just haven't got around to it, I'm going to put in a little bit extra effort to rescue you. Basically puts me in a position where I'm like, hey, look, I really want to talk to Brandon. I've just been really lazy or just been really busy. I'm going to have to put him high on the priority list. Right. So, and what this does is it pushes us up. 23% of mums want to be contacted via text. This is not right, Ella. I don't know where the 23% came from. It's actually like 73% or 85% of mums want to be contacted via text. I should have looked at this. So 23 doesn't sound like a lot because that number's wrong. It's actually about I think it's 73 or 83%. We did a study about 3 years ago or 2 years ago, where all of the leads that we put out, we actually put a questionnaire to it, and the questionnaire was, how do you want to be spoken to? Do you want to be texted? Do you want to be called? Or do you want to be emailed? And about 73% of them said they wanted to be, it was actually more than that. I think it was about 83% of them wanted to be texted, believe it or not, right? So the majority, large majority wanted it to be texted. That number was even higher the younger the mother was, right? So when you drop down into the 20s, it was almost at 100% wanted to be texted. Now, when you think that the oldest millennial is basically now 40 years old and the oldest generation Z is 24, that's the majority, right? The millennials and the generation Zs pretty much want to text. They don't really want to talk to you on the phone. They'd much prefer to text you. So if you're not texting, you need to start texting in your business. It needs to be part of your business. People communicate in different ways. Obviously, there's still, I think the number was about 17% want to be texted or don't want to be texted. They want to be called, or they want to be emailed. So we want to be taking care of them. If you're doing this year after year or each year, that's still going to be a large number. That could be a few hundred people that could end up having their kids come to your gym that want to be contacted in a way that's not texting. Contacting in the variety of mediums increases the chance of response. So what we found is even with Generation Z and millennial and under 40s, what we see is if you call and email and text together, it engenders them to be much more highly likely to text you, right? We had a couple of gyms actually that just decided, you know what, texting seems to be so important. We're just going to text. We're not going to bother with the phone calls and the emails. And their actual response rate dropped. And what we took from that was that the phone calls and the emails were reminding them, and because they would rather text as a way of responding, they would text back and say, hey, yeah, we got your message. We'd love to sign up our child to your program. Each has their own benefits. Obviously, phone calls and they have their negatives as well. Phone calls, when you get someone on the phone, you can actually explain and chat and talk, and the nuances there, but they're the most easy thing to ignore. It's so easy to just go ignore on a phone. Emails are even more so, the easiest thing to ignore. But you can put a lot of rich stuff in it. You can even put photos and different things in there and jazz it up. I do recommend that you don't do that, that you just leave it almost like a text. Keep it very short, very sharp, very sweet. Allows us to cut through, and you'll find a lot more people will respond if it's a very simple, straight to the point, punchy email, not with a whole bunch of HTML and prettiness. Those are the things that usually get missed. Text is great because it cuts right through. Most people get an alert on their phone. Anybody that has a phone, which is almost everybody, has text. The downside to text is that it loses nuance and context, and you want to keep it very simple, very short and sweet, and very, you don't want to get into a whole bunch of talking about and trying to convince people. That doesn't work on text. We recommend, if you don't have a text system, to use a system called salesmessage.com. It's about $30 a month. And it works very similar to like Facebook Messenger. And it looks like that in a browser. You can pull up a browser on your desktop, and you can actually have it on downloaded on your phone, and you can all be on the same thing. So you might have the whole desk, your whole front desk have access to it. You can have it on your phone, so you can see what's going on. You can see the conversations going on, and you can do some automated stuff. You can do some canned stuff. Jessica probably has a little bit more experience with it. But it doesn't need to be like a cell phone. You don't need to go out and buy a cell phone with a number. You can just use this app, and it's way better than a cell phone. In fact, you can actually connect it to your landline if you have a traditional, like, hardwired landline. It's not a voice over IP.
Yeah, we're not affiliated with Sales Message, but we love it. I love using it personally. All my clients love using it. It's super effective. You can actually use Zapier to connect an automatic response, so that when someone submits a lead, they get an automatic, hey, thanks for reaching out, message. You can messages that maybe you use over and over and over. You can just select, you could program those. You can put hours of operation in and have after hours messages. It's so user friendly and so easy to use. And it's nice because then no one has your cell phone. No one has your front desk cell phone. Everybody has this one system that so no matter who's working at the front desk, or everybody can see what's going on and pick up where the last person left off. So it's just a very easy to use system, and our clients love it.
In fact, when someone reaches out to us, usually the biggest way that we end up reaching out to you guys. So let's say you guys are our target audience as clients. If you go through our ads, if you see our ads, you will be messaged and texted, right? You'll be texted, because we found that when we started texting, you guys respond. If we call and leave emails, we may never get in touch with you. So texting is powerful. And as I said, this 23% is incorrect. It should be, I think it's 83%.
I think Alice said 84% in the chat.
84%, yeah, 84%.
Updated.
So things to really remember when you're thinking about the sales process. So when you actually get in touch with them, so you've been so the reason why we've been contacting them 5 days is to get them to actually respond to you, right? Because it can be difficult to get them to respond to you. Let me go back. The reason why we're talking about this again is to get them to respond to you using the different methods. We want them to get respond to you. The other thing I haven't said here, which I highly recommend, is make sure that you maybe reach out to them at different times of the day. So if you do your phone call, your text, and your email, maybe on a Monday, have your team do it at 10 a.m., do it at 12 p.m. on Thursdays, do it at 2 p.m. on Wednesdays, do it at 4 p.m. on Thursdays, and maybe do it at 6 p.m. on Fridays. The reason why you want to do that is that maybe there's mums that work in the mornings. And if you contact every time at 10 a.m. in the morning, you never will reach them because they're working and they'll never answer, right? Vice versa. There might be people working in the evenings, or there might be people working in the afternoons, or they might be busy. They might work out every day at 4 o'clock or midday or whatever. So you don't know what their schedule is. So mix it up so you've got a better chance of reaching them. But once we've reached them, we need to be thinking about this, right? So first up, and Jessica, I'll have you talk a little bit about this to back me up on this. When we first started rolling this all out, we would have some gyms who were getting great large amounts of leads, loads of people contacting them, and no one was converting. We had a swim school, especially, he was getting really consistent inquiries, and they were just flowing and flowing and flowing, and no one was. And he was like, "Well, I'm not signing any of these people up." And I'm actually talking to, and we're like, "Well, are you actually able to contact them?" "Oh yeah, I'm talking to them, but none of them are interested." Come to find, he was sending out PDFs of price lists. He was sending them to his website to have a look at the schedule. He was, so they were coming and they were reaching out to him, and then he was like going, okay, well, here's a price list. Have a look at the prices. Here's our schedule. Go and do this. Or some gyms, and this happened a lot with gymnastics, they would send they'd say, okay, great, you reached out to us. Please go to our website where you can sign up using iClass Pro or Jackrabbit, right? And what would happen is the parents would suddenly get confused, or they
Frustrated.
lost control of the situation, and they just didn't sign up. They just moved on. And specifically with the swim school, I remember when we changed that, all of a sudden it blew up. Right? We said, don't send them anywhere. Just get them to just speak to them. Very, very, don't give them a whole bunch of things to think about. And in fact, do what we call a assumptive close.
Yeah.
Right. Which is basically give them two options, and both options basically lead to where we want to go to. So we say to them, hey, great reaching out to us. Looks like you've got a 4-year-old that would want to be in kinder gym. We have a kinder gym class on a Saturday at 10 o'clock and a kinder gym class on a Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Which works best for you? That's it. So you don't send them a whole bunch of pricing. You don't send them a whole bunch of schedules. If they see 25 different schedule times, they're going to get confused. Sometimes they might go to your website and you're calling kinder gym tiny twist stars or little ninjas or little monkeys or super jumpers or all sorts of different crazy things. And the parent goes there and goes, what? I don't know what this is. I don't have time for this. I'll come back to this. And then they forget about it, and then they're not signed up, right? If it is all sensibly named, which is great, the options will be too much, and they could do the same thing. So even if you've got 10 kinder gym classes, right, just offer 2, and offer the 2 that you want to fill, right? Now, if those 2 don't work for them, most parents will say, oh, those don't work. Do you have any other classes? And you say, well, actually we do. We have another class on Saturday at 12 midday, and we have one on Monday at 4. Would any of those work for you? So you give another 2. And if they say, well, those don't work for me, do you have any others? Then you give another 2. But they should be in order of priority of the classes that you want to fill. And by just giving them 2, it makes it simpler. Because if you do it this way, because the other option is this, and there's 2 other options, both of them are terrible. Option 1, which is terrible, is, hey, we have a class on Saturday at 10 o'clock and at noon. Then we have a class at 4 o'clock on Monday. We have a class at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. We have a 3 o'clock on Wednesday. We have a 4 and a 5 on Thursday. We have a 9 on Friday and one at 5 at 6 on Friday. Which one works best for you? And they're like, hang on a second, what did you say about Saturday? How many was there on Monday? And then they're confused and they don't buy.
Andy, right? Can I chime in for a second?
Yep.
It reminds me of this one gym that I worked closely with who was getting fantastic results. They were getting just so many leads. It was crazy. But they weren't really converting. And so when I went in to kind of see what they were doing, that's exactly what they were doing. They really were doing everything through sales message, and they would list a laundry. They started off great because it'd say, thank you for your interest in such and such gym. How old is your child? That's the great question. The parent would say, oh, my child is 4. And then they would say, great, well, we have, and then they would just boop, 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 list all these out, and they would lose the parent. So we said, okay, give them 2 options. Great. We have this class at this time or this class at this time, which works best for you. The parent would then respond. They would schedule it up, and they're all scheduled in for their class to come in.
Right.
And it was such a game changer for them. She was blown away that just those little differences in keeping it short and sweet and assumptive really gave them such a different result.
Because here's the thing to remember, at this stage, we're not trying to get them to join the gym. What we're trying to do is get them to come into the gym, right? That's the end goal here. We're not trying to convince them and sell them about our gym. We're not trying to, we don't want to talk about anything. We don't want to talk about the discounts. We don't want to talk about how much, we're not trying to convince them to join the gym. We're making the assumption that they've already decided they want to. because they've given you their phone number and there's likelihood that that they've already decided to work with you. But where the magic happens, where you can talk about all the stuff, is when they're sitting in front of you and they're actually in the gym. They can see the colors and the space and the happy smiling faces and the other parents that are enjoying it and their kids all excited. Then you can actually go through everything. So at this stage, all we're trying to do is just get them to come into your gym, because you guys know that once they're there, once they're with you, it's a lot easier to get them over the line, right? So the only goal is to get them into your gym at this stage. You're not trying to sell them anything. If you try to sell them, you're going to lose them, right? Remember, we're helping. We're not selling, we're helping, right? Assume the sale at every moment. In fact, I like to call this assume every moment. So we're not assuming a sale. We're just assuming they're going to do business with us because they've given us their phone number. They've answered the questions. They're engaging with us. Assume they're just going to do business with us. If they don't want to, if they figure out after a while that they don't want to do business with you, they'll say, no, thanks. I don't want to do business with you, right? But that answer tends to be very low. The other thing about doing the assumption, where you give them two options, which basically lead to the same thing. You're saying, hey, do you want to do business with me, or do you want to do business with me, basically? The other thing is, if they're 50-50, there's a big chance that they're going to do business with you. They're pretty much going to have to really not want to do business with you to not ultimately do business with you. If you just say, hey, would you like to come in on Tuesday at 2 or Thursday at 3? Right? Give them that, oh, let's do Thursday at 3. That works, right? The other thing is that you have some control over how you're going to fill your gym. You don't want to have 10 kinder gym classes with 1 kid in them, right? It's much better for you to have 2 kinder gym classes with 5 kids in them, right? The other thing that we highly recommend is when they do come into the gym, especially if you're doing free trial classes, and I know many of you might be doing free trial classes, is when that coach is working with the kids and they finish, make sure that coach takes those free trial kids and walks them, by the hand, and the parent by the hand, back to the front desk to get it all situated. A lot of gyms lose the kids and lose the parent in that little gap between the class finishing and them just deciding to walk out the door. In fact, we had one gym who said, with COVID, we've got a lot more people walking out the door because we've got one entry point there, which is right next to the front desk, and the other entry point is at the back of the gym, and the parent just picks up the kids and leaves. Well, no, if it's a trial gym, if it's a free trial class, let's get them back to that front desk. So train your coaches to take those kids back to whoever is signing them up, right? Make sure that there's no handoff. And the way that would go is, the coach takes them back to the front desk, or the person who signed them up, whatever your process is, and says, hey, little Jessie seemed to have a really good time. Mrs. Smith, it looked really good, didn't it? And they're all nodding their head, yeah, that was great. And then, well, this is Jessica, who's going to get you into the class. Good day. And then they leave. And then Jessica would say, hey, you look like you had a really great time. Did you want to sign up to this class, or did you want to sign up to that Thursday class at 3 o'clock? What works best for you? Mm-hmm. And that's it. Keep it simple. Keep it right straight to the point. Assume the sale. Assume the business is going to happen. Right? It's world changing. Sometimes if this is the only thing you do, you don't even do the Facebook marketing, you're going to find a big difference happen if you're not doing it this way. Right? Confusion is a killer of the sale, whatever we're selling. Think about yourselves. If you go to a place and you're looking to do business with them and it feels confusing, you're not more excited to do business. You're going to be like, well, let me go away and let me think about this. Or, well, I'm not sure. But when it's easy, when it makes sense, when it's simple, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Right? And then they're in. And here's one of the things, if your average charge is $80 a month, which is about the average in the United States, so $80 a month, that's $960 for a year. right? The average kid that we've seen from the data that we've seen stays for between a year to 18 months, right? A year to 18 months. So let's say a year. So we were on the conservative side. Granted, some kids are going to stay for 15 years and some kids might stay for 2 or 3 months, but the average is about a year. So each of those kids that are contacting you is $960, right? If there was little pots of $960 out on the floor, and the coaches were just leaving them there and not taking care of it, you would probably be a little bit disappointed by that, right? And if you're getting, let's say, 20 inquiries, 20 people who are inquiring, that's potentially 20 times $960. That's $20,000 basically. Why wouldn't you go through this process for $20,000 a month? Because remember, you're going to do this month in, month out, 20 inquiries. That's if you close all of them. Let's say you get 25. Let's say you get 20 and you only close half of them. That's $10,000 a month, right? That's $120,000 a year. I would imagine most of you, if you could add an extra $120,000 a year to your gyms, that would be a significant moment for you guys, right? If you're if you're just breaking even and you're not making profit and you own your gym, 120,000 is what you get. That's your money, right? So all these little things add up, and you got to make sure that you're on top of it. And this is why I say to you, it's not good enough for you guys, because most of you do, and I would imagine almost all of you probably run a really good program. You're helping kids, you're doing wonderful things. So your product and service is great. You've got to add to it the marketing, sales and marketing, and then all of a sudden you can buy your own gym, right? If you're leasing or renting, you can look to buy your own gym. That is one of the biggest ways for you to actually have a business that actually, is going to help you in your retirement, right? That becomes an asset. That becomes something that helps you, do the thing that you love, which is coaching, but also financially take care of yourself, right? This process allows you to drive enough business that you can raise that from $80. Imagine if you got it up to, let's say, 160, like our gym in Chicago, and you're adding 20 kids a month. All of a sudden, that's $500,000 a year, which is crazy. Those kind of numbers, all of a sudden, you can do your 401ks for your staff. You can pay people $20 an hour. If you're charging $160 a month, each class, right? So, and you got 8 kids in them, right? That means, was it 8? That's about 6. Let's say $1,400. I'll be conservative because my brain's not working 100%. But let's say you're looking at about $1,400. If you're paying your coach $20 an hour, which is a decent number, or even 20, let's say 25, because that's a nice number. Those 8 kids paying you $1,300, it's costing you $100 in coaching fees. So you've got a profit, obviously not including your rent and everything, but you've got a profit of that new class of $1,200, right? So you can pay your coaches good money, which means you're no longer struggling to find people because people can finally make a living. You can potentially give them health insurance. You can potentially give them 401ks in retirement. All of a sudden, you're going to have staff for life. Staffing is no longer a problem. How many of you, and you don't need to answer this, but how many of you have had the issue where people, coaches leave, on semi-regular points, but when those coaches leave, it upsets the parents, and some parents leave because of coaches leaving, right? That's an ongoing, constant issue. So doing all these things, helping your business become a fully rounded business with a great product and service and great sales and marketing, allows you to do better, allows your staff to do better, keeps your kids in the programs longer, and everybody is happy and everyone's doing well, right? This is a serious business ultimately. So before, let's I'll go through this and then we'll go back to the questions and answers. So, I know we've spoken about this multiple times. I would really appreciate it if you guys could join the gymnastics marketing group. That will allow us to continuously be able to help you. The only stuff typically that is dropped in there is stuff that helps you. Hey, here's some new things that we found. Here's a new thing that's come out on Facebook. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And then there's other gym owners and gym managers that are asking questions and talking about different things. Definitely join the Gymnastics Marketing Academy if you haven't already. As I said, it's a pay what you can. So if you want to pay something, pay something. If you don't want to pay anything, but you feel that you need the help, don't pay anything and sign up. You use it as a resource. It's lifetime access. So we're not going to kick you out after a month or so. It's not a free month subscription, it's lifetime subscription. And then finally, if you're like, wow, this sounds all great, but man, I really kind of need your help, I highly recommend that you reach out to Jamie. And Jamie can talk to you about our 2-month Kickstart package where we actually pay for our fee for you. So all you have to pay is Facebook and Google. You don't have to pay us anything. For that 2 months to get you up and going, because we know that it's going to be a game changer for you, and we know we're likely to be working with you for years, and we know it will make a big difference. We're only able to do 10 of those though, so because we don't have a huge team. We have a team of 15 in Creatively Disruptive. We don't have a massive team that can take on hundreds of gyms, so we are limiting it to 10 a month. So reach out to Jamie and she'll be able to talk you through that. And then finally, what I'm going to request all of you to do as a payment, I am going to ask you to do this, is go to Facebook or Google, search Google reviews, or go to Facebook and look at Facebook reviews. And please give us a review. If you found that this is useful and helpful to you, it really does make a big difference to us. When we get good reviews, it helps the Facebook algorithm and the Google algorithm look after us. So please, I ask all of you who have been on here, if you found any value in this, go to Creatively Disruptive on Facebook and give us a review about what you got out of it and how good it was. Hopefully it's a positive review that you would recommend us. And on Google, go there and do the same. 5 stars, these guys are great. That really does help us. Okay, so let's go back to questions and answers, because this is the end. And I do want to answer any questions that you might have, if you have any. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, I got like 4 of them.
Go, Brandon.
All right. Let's see. Okay, so talking about texting. So
Yep.
the texting is that mainly coming from the Facebook ads that you have? That leads direct to texting, or does that also come from some kind of sort of contact us on your website? Or
like texting is like phone calls and emails, right? This is how we're talking about it, where you actively text out. So somebody reaches out to you and they say we're interested, and that might be by a phone call, it might be by email, it might be a lead. Right. In fact, a lot of them will come through from a lead. A lot of them will come through via email. Some of them, will be phone calls and so forth. And you'll have that information. You'll have their phone number, so you use that as you call them on the phone, and then you text them, and then you email them. Right.
Yeah, I understand that. But like, let's say they email you, but they don't give you their phone number. Like, that's obviously, that takes texting out of the question unless you ask for it.
Right. If you don't have anything, the only thing you can do is email them back. Right.
Yeah.
But what you want to do when you set up your when you set up your advertising, you have them go to a lead page and you ask them, can we have your phone number and an email address? Or you might just say, can I have your phone number? I would prefer to have the phone number than the email address. If there was only one that you could get, hey, give us your phone number so we can call you back. Right. Most parents, when they give it to you, and most of them do, they're ready to roll. Right. Now, if all they do is give you an email because they do some research and they find the contact page and they contact you and all you've got is their email, then you're going to be stuck with just using email. You're going to have some people that will reach out to you via Messenger. You won't even have an email. You just know their Facebook page, and then all you can do is message them via Facebook. Right. So
I think you'll also be surprised at how many people are going to give you their phone number. That's typically the case. It's more the exception that they don't, if it's set up correctly.
Yeah, and you want to ask for it, right? So make sure you ask for it. If you don't ask for it, you won't get it. So it's to say, hey, most people are okay if they're serious about doing business with you with giving them your phone number or giving you their phone number, right? We always ask, and typically we actually ask for all three. We said, we're all three. We ask for a phone number and email address and name. And so oftentimes we might even ask, how old is the child? Now, another thing we do, and we have done this for our clients, is we'll program in an automated response. So somebody, sends a lead or an inquiry in, it sets off a thing where they get automatically texted, instantly saying, hey, thank you for reaching out to us. How old is your child? So they start talking to you, right? But your first text, your first call, and your first email should be when you do it. You should count that first text, first call, first email when you actually or your team do it.
That's one.
Yeah. Do you have another question?
Yeah, I got a couple others. So the ads that I do right now are all Facebook Messenger. So there's a couple issues with that. Is one, sometimes the potential clients don't receive the message or look at the message, and that obviously there's nothing that I can do about that. But when you talk about contacting them 5 times in different ways, right now that's the only way that I can message them is through Messenger. So
then you need to, if the only way that you can do it, because you're only asking for Messenger or you're only getting contacted by Messenger, I would contact them 5 days in a row via Messenger. I mean, if you only have something, that's all you can work with. There's no magic to suddenly say, well, this is how we get their phone number. You could ask them, you could say, hey, by the way, what's your phone number so we can give you a call? Okay. I mean, try to get their phone number. But if they won't give it to you, then, well, they're not responding, then the only way you can do it is by still follow that 5-day process, because that's going to build up. Like, I don't watch my Messenger as closely as I do my texting, but I will see the messages and I'll be like, oh man, this person really wants to contact me. I better respond. And remember, most of them won't reach out to you if they have no interest.
And Brandon, consider also alternative ways to set the ads up, maybe a lead form, like that, where you get different information, maybe setting up one of each. And so that you're able to, people are able to engage with you in the way that they feel most comfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
With the lead form, you're going to be able to get.
I would always recommend that you have a lead form. So that would be a page on your website or a landing page that you build. And anybody that works with us, we actually do that where there's a page, and they'll say, hey, great, thanks for inquiring. Please give us your phone number, your email, name, and I think Nancy, you asked about the age of the child. Ask about the age of the child. Because that is important, right? If they're 3 or 4 years old, there's going to be specific places to put them, and that'll help you kind of like figure out where to put them. So when you say, hey, that's great, looks like you've got a 3-year-old, anything you can do to make the transition smoother, where they don't have to say as much to you or there's not as much thinking going on, the better it is for you, right? So if they actually put in, I've got a 3-year-old girl, then okay, this is probably going to be kinder gym. So when you reach out to them and you actually start talking, you can say, hey, well, it looks like you have a 3-year-old girl. We have a kinder gym class on Monday at 1, and we have another one on Saturday at 10 a.m. What works best for you? And it just takes out all of the friction, makes it really slick and really easy for them to say, 10 a.m. on Saturday is great for me. I'll see you then.
Okay, so in regards to that, obviously short and sweet. You don't put anything in pricing in that conversation until they get.
If they ask, then you answer.
Yeah.
But you don't throw out anything other than just getting them in the gym. You're only, if you put pricing out there before they come in the gym, you're trying to sell them. You're trying to convince them of something. You don't want to be doing that. You're just helping them come into the gym. Now, if they ask you, you don't say, oh, no, you got to come in the gym to get the pricing. No, you don't do that. You go, oh yeah, kinder gym is $60 a month. would you like to come in on Saturday or Sunday? Would you like to come in Saturday at 10 a.m. or Monday at 1 a.m.? Whatever it is, you get back to the two options.
Right. Last question. Free trial versus 30-day money back guarantee. Do you guys have any stats on what you
I think the
better?
free trial works really well.
Yeah, if the exactly.
So do you want to answer that a little bit? Because you probably
Yeah,
got all
typically
of
the
them.
free trial will it works really good from a hook perspective from the ad. It's really important at that stage that you have good processes in the gym, like Andy mentioned today, that you're talking to that person after the free trial, you're saying, hey, great job, that you look like you had so much fun. There are some areas with some clients that the free trial just doesn't work for them because for whatever reason in their area, people are just looking for something free. I mean, you're going to get that once in a while, but if you're finding that that's the case, then you might want to reconsider it. But in general, the clients that offer free trial class typically have a higher close rate. I found. So a lot of it's just trial and error and being willing to try different hooks.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get, here's one thing that I will say about that. Most people that don't do the free trial, they end up saying, well, there's people who just use it and abuse it, and I just feel like I'm wasting it. And when you dig into it, it's like, you know, out of 25 people, 2 or 3 people use it or abuse it. And that's like you're doing a process based on the minority of people that come through. And the sad thing about that is that you end up potentially losing 10 signups that you might have had because you're so frustrated with the 3 that take advantage of it, right? So I would almost always err on the side of I would recommend a free trial, because it means you're going to have a lot more people respond to your ad. You're going to have a lot more people come in and try the free trial. There is going to be some people that take advantage of it, but the end result is you can actually have more people sign up typically. So do you have any more, Brandon?
Oh, I'm done.
And we've got,
These are good questions, Brandon.
yeah, those were very good questions. So I don't think anybody else had any other questions. If anybody has any other questions, please drop them in there now. If not, you can please join the Facebook marketing, sorry, the gymnastics marketing group. So you can ask those questions. We'll be happy to help you. Most of the staff are in there and they'll be able to help you. If you want us to help you directly as your marketing department, please reach out to Jamie. She will be able to help you with that. And there's like an interview that we're going through to see if you're a good fit for us to help. And then please remember to go to Facebook and Google and give us a review if you got anything out of this. It's a big help for us. So with that, thank you very much.